ये वीडियो ऑन करो ऑडियो।
Welcome to our speaker. He has joined. So our session is going to be started. Okay, so I'm going to introduce about our resource person, Dr. Chandan Kumar Jha. Dr. Chandan Kumar Jha is currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering since 2020. Before this, he has worked in KIT University, Bhubaneswar. He received his PhD from IIT Patna, ME from BIT Mesra Ranchi, BTech from WBUT. His research areas are signal and image processing, artificial intelligence. He has published many publications in SCI journal, as well as he has published paper in conference, book chapter, etc. So I would like to welcome our resource person. So welcome, sir. Hand it over to you, sir. Please, sir, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, sir, for nice introduction. Am I audible to all of you? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Audible, sir. Audible.
So, thank you very much, sir, for nice introduction. And now I'm sharing my presentation to all the participants. And before this, I welcome you, all of you, for this expert session. And I just share my screen. So screen is visible to all of you. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Visible, visible.
Okay. So my expert talk is ECG signal based automated cardiac arrhythmia detection technique. Basically, this technique is has a lot of significance in today's scenario, as the many people are suffering with different heart diseases. So in the modern era where the people suffer with different kinds of heart disease, in that case, how we can use the ECG signal to just serve the nation and the world by applying certain different types of artificial intelligence based technique using the ECG signal. So just keeping that motive in our mind, we can just contribute in terms of the technology to the society, so that we can develop and innovate different techniques that can be useful for the human. Okay, so based on that motive, this topic is using the ECG signal, how you can just detect arrhythmia, which is a certain kind of disease related to our rhythm of heart. Okay, so before going deep in this topic, I would like to, I just make it slide slow. So okay, so this is my presentation content. Firstly, what is the introduction? Firstly, introduction. After that, how you can acquire the ECG signal. What are the different artifacts in the ECG signal? What is the analysis includes? What are the different parts of the analysis of the ECG? After that, how you can remove the high frequency and low frequency noise of ECG signal? How you can analyze the time frequency based on the time frequency and wavelet transform to just for the analysis of the ECG signal. After that, how AI can be used for automated heart disease detection using ECG signal. After that, a technique which is developed by me in recent year, that is TQWT and SPM based automated arrhythmia detection technique. I will describe how this technique works. After that, conclusion and what are the different references related to this topic, which I have just covered in this I will cover in this talk. So firstly, what is the statics? What is the statics of the cardiovascular disease in the worldwide? So cardiovascular disease includes a wide area which just covers all types of different diseases related to our heart, and it is basically the disorder of working of our heart and blood vessels related to it. And as we know already in recent event how the different actors was suffer in recent year, just like KK. After that, one comedian, Raju Srivastav, he was also suffered with the cardiac arrest. Okay, so these are the different means examples. We can just see how people are suffering due to this kind of disease, and these are the life threatening disease. And based on that, we can just say that as per the World Health Organization, CVDs are the leading cause of death. Okay, and if we include the statistics as per the 2019, an estimated 17.9 million people died from CVDs worldwide, and it just represents 32% of all global deaths. So you, by this statistics, you can understand how this is severely affect our life, and how it is life threatening. So due to these statistics, early detection of CVD is essential, and by early detection, you can manage the risk with counseling and as well as medicines. And for the early detection, the widely used tool is, in terms of the signal, ECG, and basically ECG is what? Electrocardiogram. So you can, if you have, many of you have just visited the hospital and you just know the name, as a student or a little as a person of little age, all of you know what is ECG, and ECG is related to what. But in deep, you should know how many kinds of leads are used to acquisition of the ECG. What is ECG? What is its amplitude? What is its frequency? So I'm just going to next slide. I'll explain it. So basically, ECG is the recording of electrical pulses, waves generated by our heart muscles. So basically, our heart generates electrical activity. The muscles of the heart is based on the electrical activity, and due to that electrical activity, it generates electrical pulses, electrical waves. And if we just acquire those pulses, if we just measure the electropotential between the 2 points of our heart, and if we just record using those electrical pulses, using the electrodes placing on different positions of our heart, that will be called electrocardiogram. Okay, and if you just measure the electrical waves between one heart cycle, then it looks like, which as shown in the presentation, recording of it is the recording of one cycle of heart. So it represents the normal heart cycle, and you can just say, you can just see that here there are the different parts of it: P wave, QRX, complex. This part is called the ST segment. This is the called T wave. So all these parts has a different significance, and based on its different significance, cardiologist can cardiologist can detect different types of diseases related to it. So it is a normal heart cycle, and if the patient is suffered with different kinds of diseases, just like the myocardial infarction, arrhythmia, in that case, the morphology of this normal heart cycle will different. So here, just like it has a certain amplitude, it has a range of certain amplitude of the P wave. It has the certain range of the PR segment for normal people, and if the people will be different, then the range will be different. So by just analyzing that range, by just analyzing the amplitude range, time range, cardiologist can predict whether the patient is suffering with arrhythmia or different kinds of diseases, just like myocardial infarction, heart rate variability analysis. So all these are based on the analysis of morphology as well as in the time domain of the different waves of the normal heart cycle. So this is the basic morphology of a normal heart cycle. And it has the different parts: PR interval, PR segment, QRS complex, ST segment, P wave, T wave, all this. Okay. Now, if we just say what will be the peak amplitude? So in general, if we just record ECG signal, the peak amplitude of the ECG signal is about 1 millivolt. Okay, so it has the 1 millivolt, and is usually we just record it, we just acquire it with a frequency range 0.05 to 100 hertz. And since it is a non-invasive technique to just know about the working of our heart, so it's a very much advantageous, because we don't need any invasive method. It's a non-invasive, it does not require any internal method. Okay, so it is advantageous for that kind of for that advantage. It is widely used in monitoring devices, in if a patient is suffering with different types of, just like related to heart as well as just disease related to brain. In that case also, it is widely used, because it's a very simple method to know the functioning of our heart. And a cardiologist uses ECG signal to interpret different kinds of diseases with the information, just like the abnormalities of heart, and heart rate, about the heart rate and the rhythm of the heart beats, size and position of heart chambers. So if size and position will be different, so suppose that becomes abnormal, in that case ECG will be also different. It has the different morphology, it has the different time segments. So ECG can also give the information by the to the cardiologist, and the cardiologist interpret that information and detect the different diseases. And it's also so the it's also inform us about the electrical conduction activity, electrical conduction system of our heart. Okay, now if we just say what is the biological, as you all of you have just studied about the heart, not in detail, but you know how many chambers are there in our heart. So there are the 4 chambers. So here you can just see the biological structure of our heart. And here in our heart there are 4 chambers: left, right, here in this case, and in the above, left and right. And this right, left and right means from the picture side it is left, but from our side it is left. So it's the left and right ventricle, after that left and right atrium. Okay, and the activity overall, the activity of the atrium and ventricle and atria is overall generates a lub dub sound. If you will just interpret the sound of the our heart, it is just usually called in books, as well as you can just interpret as lub dub sound. Okay, so it creates based on the pumping mechanism of the blood, it just generates the sound. And that is the one complete sound. If we just record the sound, it will just appears as lub dub type. And all these sounds are generated due to the pumping mechanism. So how bloods are coming from atrium to ventricle, ventricle to atrium, and the overall mechanism to carry out the blood to our complete body through the aorta and these veins, which is called the vena cava. So one part is just from one part blood is coming, and from another part blood is going to the complete body. So here if blood is coming from atrium, so you can just say the oxygenated blood after the pumping, it will just go from the aorta. Okay, so overall pumping mechanism means, if we just in mechanical language, heart is pump. Heart is a motor of our body which pumps blood to all parts of our body. Okay, so this is the complete biological structure. So it has the many more detail, and based on the complete pumping mechanism, the normal heart cycle, as an engineer we can just say the normal heart cycle generates. But all the activity is just related with the depolarization and repolarization. Depolarization means decompression, and repolarization means compression. So when the heart muscles contracts, then it's called repolarization, and when it decompresses, then it is called depolarization. So overall mechanism is based on the depolarization of ventricles and atrium. Okay. Now, next class, and in next slide, here we will just see that how you can just acquire the ECG signal. So usually if you just see, if we just want to monitor a patient for long time period, so it's never possible that we just require we just use 12 leads. So usually in hospital, when a patient is coming for any treatment, so usually cardiologists acquire ECG signal using the standard 12 leads. So a standard 12 leads is the clinical method to acquire the different information using the ECG signal. So it is the standard method, and this method gives you the complete information of our heart, how the heart is functioning. But for the monitoring purpose, if you just use the monitor, suppose that in Apple Watch, so the Apple Watch says about the heart rate variability, and what is the R to R interval, means what is the heartbeat. So it usually in Apple Watch there is one terminal is used, and that's why it is called 1 to 2 lead monitoring device. So in maximum in the monitoring devices 2 leads are used, but in a standard clinical, as a clinician, cardiologist use standard 12 leads. So overall, I already told you repolarization and depolarization is the basic mechanism which just generates the ECG signal, and this electrical activity can be recorded using 12, either 12 leads, or for monitoring point of view 1 to 2 leads. And if we just categorize the leads, then it may be the unipolar as well as bipolar. So if based on the standard 12 leads, if we just categorize it, then it has the 3 different configurations. So these 3 different configurations are based on the acquisition, and it was developed by different scientists. So first of all, William Enthoven developed unipolar lead and bipolar lead. So here the first means the 3 leads, lead 1, lead 2, lead 3 are called the bipolar leads, and it is just further it is developed by E. Goldberg, and it's called the unipolar leads, and it is also called augmented limb leads. I will just show you what are the different configurations of these unipolar leads as well as bipolar leads. So augmented limb leads are the unipolar leads, and it was developed by E. Goldberg, and it is called AVR, AVL, AVF. And apart from this, there are certain chest leads developed by Frank Vision, and these are also the unipolar leads. Unipolar leads means it has a certain, means it is measured based on a certain reference point. The reference point is fixed, but when the reference point will move from another middle part, in that case it will be called bipolar. Okay, so here unipolar and bipolar are based on certain reference point by which the electrical potential is measured. So you can just see that William Enthoven starts the innovation to record the electrical activity, and he developed the lead 1, lead 2, lead 3, which are the bipolar leads, means the electrical potentials are measured based on the 2 different points on our body. So here the reference point is moving, that's why it is called the bipolar. After that, 2 unipolar leads were developed, which are the chest leads developed by Frank Vision, and augmented limb leads developed by E. Goldberg. And the chest lead has different configurations: V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. So here there are the complete 12 leads: lead 1, lead 2, lead 3, AVR, AVL, AVF. After that, V1 to V6, which are the chest leads. Now here you can just see the different configurations of different leads. Here between the right arm and between the left arm, if we just measure the electrical activity of our heart, electropotential, action potential, uh, the potential between two different points of our heart muscle is also called as the action potential. So if it is measured between the limb right arm and the left arm, then it will be defined as the lead 1. If it is measured between the left leg and the left arm, it is it is called as lead 3. If it is measured between the right arm and the left arm, so here negative to positive, so here this is the reference and the potential is measured between these 2 points, so it will be called lead 2. So overall lead 1, lead 2 and lead 3 constructs an equilateral triangle that is called the N1000 triangle, and based on the scientist N1000 it is just named. Okay, so this is the configurations of 3 different leads. So it is N1000 triangle. And regarding the augmented limb leads, it has a different configuration, just like here it is the right arm, and if it is just measured between so this reference point is fixed here between the left arm and between the left leg. So between the middle of the whatever the resistance felt here, if it is measured by the half of that resistance, so here the potential of between this to this will be equal, this to this will be equal. So here we just check the middle point and we just put the electrode there. So here it will be recorded as between the right arm and this middle point, so it will be called AVR. Similarly, if it is measured between the left arm and between this point, middle of this point, means right arm and left leg, it will be called AVL. After that, in the similar way, it can be measured between the 2 fits and it will be called AVF. So these are the 3 different configurations of the augmented limb leads. Now here you can just, if you just combine the lead 1 and the augmented leads, so you can just see here between the left arm and middle of the right arm and left leg, the AVL is defined. Between the left arm and between the right arm and middle of the left arm and left leg, it will be called as AVR. And between the left leg and middle point of the right arm and left arm, if you just put the electrode, it will be defined as the AVF. Okay, so here AVR, AVL, AVF are the augmented leads. They are the the measurement of the potential is based on middle point, means one terminal will be fixed at left leg, right arm, left arm, and another electrode will be fixed between the middle point. So that's why it is called augmented. Okay, so here the complete 6 lead configurations are mentioned here, and based on the N1000 triangle we can put all these electrodes here. Now regarding the precordial chest leads are also called the precordial chest leads, and these are the unipolar leads. So the fixed electrode will be, one electrode will be from the right hand side here, and another 5 electrodes will be based on this position on our chest, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. So V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. So these configurations are just based on the positions on our chest. So that's why it is called the chest plates. So these are the complete 12 configurations. Now, what the P wave integrates, if you just remember the normal morphology of a normal heart cycle, in that case the P wave denotes the atrial depolarization, means decompression. QRS complex indicates ventricular depolarization. You know that there are 2 ventricles, so it just denotes ventricular depolarization. The T wave indicates ventricular repolarization. PR interval, start of atrial depolarization to start of QRS complex. QT interval, time required for ventricles to undergo a single cycle of depolarization or depolarization. So this indicates QT interval. And in the case of heart attack, which is biologically called myocardial infarction, this part is affected very badly, QT interval. Okay, so it will be either inverted, or the duration of QT interval will, means morphology will be either inverted, or the time duration of the QT interval will be changed in the case of the myocardial infarction. And it is measured from end of PR to T wave. So this part is very much vital for heart patient related with heart attack. Okay, so all the parts has its significance, as I already told you. If you have any question, then you can ask at this point, and I will ask you also at the last if you have any doubt. So here, regarding the measurement of ECG, usually in the clinical method, ECG is measured from electrodes and it is just printed on a graph paper. All of you have seen, I just suppose. All of you have seen? Yes or no? Have you seen the ECG paper practically in any hospital?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here, this is the
Yes, sir.
basic representation of the graph paper, and it has a scaling. So in this graph paper, 1 millivolt represents 10 mm, and on the horizontal axis, on x-axis, here 1 mm represents 0.04 second. Okay, so here the complete this unit 10 points, it just denotes 1 mm, 1 mm, 1 mm, total complete 10 mm are there. So it is 1 millivolt, it represents 1 millivolt, and this duration is 0.04 second. So based on this duration, cardiologist interpret it. Okay, so this graph paper has this scaling. And if I just say you how the complete 12 leads looks. So usually the graph paper gives you lead 1, lead 2, lead 3, AVR, AVL, AVF, and V1 to V6. So this is the complete information how the chest will work, and if it is affected by heart attack, then the structure of different leads will be different, and by the analysis of that, cardiologist can say which part is affected, because there are the different means, if we just say the organization of different uh, veins related to our heart, so which part is affected. By the analysis of complete 12 leads, without analysis of complete 12 leads, it's a very much difficult to tell that for the cardiologist which part is affected. And based on that analysis, cardiologist can say whether the heart attack is major or minor. If the heart attack is major, then it just affects a large part of heart. If it just affects a minor part, a small part, then it will be called minor attack. Okay, and in that case, the recovery is easy for patient. But in case of major, maybe it will be the life-threatening. Now, if we just tell you what are the different features which we can just obtain from ECG. So the different features may include what is the heart rate. So heart rate is basically how many R peaks, means in one heart cycle you can just see that there is a one QRS complex. So there is the R peak, one R peak. So in 1 second, suppose that usually our in normal case our heart beats 70 to 80 or 70 to 85 maximum. 70 to 80 you can just say the normal heart range, or 65 to 80 for a normal people. If beyond that it's just beats, that means there's the abrupt heart rate, and you must visit the hospital to just take the suggestion from cardiologist. So heart rate is the important features which tells a lot about our health of our heart. After that, rhythm. So basically rhythm is associated with the morphology of the ECG. After that, axis. If the axis moves up and down, it also indicates a different abrupt changes or in functioning of our heart. After that, the morphology of P wave also indicates information related to the functioning of our heart. After that, PR segment, QRS complex, ST segment, T wave, QT interval. So all these parts indicates a certain information, and since it indicates a certain information, it is a vital feature. And based on this feature, by extracting these features, any technical technological point of view, any device can be developed to detect different diseases related to heart using the ECG signal. Okay, so these are the important features related to the ECG signal. Now, if we just move about the artifacts, so before extracting the features, you must know what are the different noises related to the ECG signal. So the definition of noise is different, but here in the case of signal, ECG signal, we just tell it artifacts. So artifacts are the nothing. Artifacts are treated as noise, but it introduces in the signal during acquisition process, and that's why it is called artifacts. So artifacts are nothing but the noise introduced in the ECG signal or any biological signal during the acquisition. Okay, so if we just say about the artifacts of ECG signal, it may be the high frequency, it may be the low frequency. So the high frequency noise can be introduced due to the different electromagnetic sources, just like the any TV tower, any mobile tower, or any mobile phone. So if we just if our heart if during the acquisition, if ECG is affected during the due to the high frequency source, so it will introduce the high frequency noise. Now during the recording, if we just say that any patient moves his body, so due to that, certain low frequency noise may be introduced in the ECG, and this noise will be called motion artifacts. And the motion artifacts, a good example of the motion artifacts fact is baseline wandering. After that, third kind of noise or artifact, you can just say the power line interference. So due to the power line, the certain interference introduced in the ECG, that is called the power line interference. So usually it just generates the peak 50 hertz peak in India, because the power line frequency is 50 hertz. So either it generates the 50 hertz or the harmonics related with the 50 hertz. So to remove it, to remove the power line interference, we just employ the technique just like the comb filtering, to just remove the 50 hertz as well as the harmonics related to that. After that, maternal interference in fetal ECG. So here it is the different type of ECG which is just related with the ECG of the fetus during the pregnancy of a woman. Whenever a woman is pregnant, then during the fetus construction, heart is also developed in the fetus. So if we just want to know about the heart of any child, this is in the form of the fetus in the uterus of a woman, in that case, if we just want to record, then that ECG is affected by the ECG of the mother. That's why it is called the maternal interference. So it just affects the morphology of the fetal ECG. So in that case, maternal interference is just treated as the noise. So removing that maternal interference is a good point of research in nowadays. So it is also a vital developing research area. Means removal of the maternal interference from the fetal ECG. So these are the different artifacts related to the ECG signal which must be removed before we just take it to extract the different features to develop any AI-based technique to detect different diseases related to our heart. So these are the artifacts, and in research point of view, there are different techniques developing nowadays, just like high frequency motion artifacts, power line interference. Has in this for the three kinds, there are lots of techniques developed, but for the fourth topic, it's there are this area is widely developing, and many researchers work in this area. So for research point of view, this area can be explored as a researcher. Now about the ECG signal. So till now you already know what is ECG, how it has the what are the different meanings of the morphology of ECG, and in case of the abnormal or in heart disorder, in case of how morphology can be different and how it gives you the different information. Now regarding the ECG signal analysis, So the basically analysis part is divided in three categories: denoising, compression, and classification. I will cover it separately. What is denoising? So the denoising is just related with the artifacts. So simply EC signal denoising is related with the artifact removal techniques. So usually filtering method is used in case of the denoising. And in case of compression, so compression is related with the acquisition. Suppose that you acquire an ECG signal for a long duration. Suppose that a patient is admitted, or in case of the Holter monitoring, it is just ECG is recorded for 2 to 3 days. So if ECG is recording for 2 to 3 days using the 12 leads, in that case, it will acquire a large data. So in case of telemedicine, if you just transmit that data from one terminal to another, it will consume more bandwidth of the transmission system. So in that case, data compression is essential. So data compression is also a part of the ECG signal analysis, and it plays a major role in case of the telemedicine. That's why it is a part in the analysis part. Compression part is also included. But here, since it is the biological signal, if you just compress it and if it lost the vital information, in that case, the signal will be meaningless. So compression with quality maintenance, it is essential. In that case, compression has to be developed in such a way so that signal cannot lose its important information. So whenever biological signal is compressed, then it's a prime factor that how you can just say whether the compression technique is good or bad. If it just loses the important information so that it cannot be interpretable by the cardiologist, in that case compression is not usable. So you can't transmit the signal with the compression. And for the compression point of view, the signal can be compressed in that case whenever it just maintains a certain standard of the quality. After that, the classification part has included, and the classification part is just related with the disease detection, different kinds of disease detection, just like the diseases based on the heart rate variability, diseases related to the rhythm, diseases related with the infarction, which is also called the heart attack. So there are different kinds of diseases, just like the fibrillation. Also, after that, there's the pace, just like the pacemaker is utilized by different patients. So pacemaker is also just related with the AI tools, and in that case, the classification is also used in that case also. So classification parts is basically related with the detection and prediction part, and it is also a fastly developing research area. Okay, so basically the signal analysis, in this way you can just say that signal analysis includes denoising part, compression part, and classification part. And denoising is related with the filtering, and for the high frequency and low frequency noise removal, there are the different kinds of techniques used. In general, if you just say how the high frequency noise can be removed from ECG signal, so usually SG filter, which is also called the Sainsky Gole filter, Butterworth low pass filter, it is widely used to remove the high frequency noise. And regarding the low frequency noise, we use Butterworth high pass filter in general. But for the research point of view, wavelet based technique is also used for the noise removal, and after for the power line interference for a certain power line frequency, just like 50 hertz, a notch filter can be used. And if we just consider the harmonics of 50 hertz, 50 hertz including the different harmonics, in that case, comb filter will be used. So power line interference can be removed using the notch filter. Now we will come in detail for the compression and classification in coming slides. So if we just here, I just show you the implementation of SC, means how the plot will looks if we just implement the SC filter to an ECG signal, which is just acquired from the MIT BIH arrhythmia data set. And in that case, if you just apply the Sainsky-Gole filter, which is nothing but the polynomial filter, in that polynomial, if we just choose the order of the filter 3 and window dimension 17, then it will looks like here the plots has been obtained from the MATLAB. So here it is the original signal. You can just see here, this is the original signal. It on the x-axis it has the amplitude, on the x-axis it has the number of samples. So this is the time axis. On the y-axis there is the amplitude in the millivolt. Okay, so here you can just see that here it is affected by certain high frequency noises. So this type of abrupt changing in the morphology, it is called the high frequency noises. Now, after filtering, after applying the SC filter of order 3 and window dimension 17, it looks like this. So you can just simply see that how it changes, means how the signal becomes smooth. This is the without noising, denoising. It is with denoising, means with applying the SC filter. So the signal becomes smooth. So here you can just see the changes. So in this way, the high frequency noise can be removed using the SC filter. Now, what is the baseline wandering? Baseline wandering means the baseline moves here and there in the ECG signal. And these variations of the baseline can be removed using the high pass Butterworth filter. And if you just implement the order 3 Butterworth filter, then here you can just see the baseline of the ECG signal. This is the original ECG signal with the baseline wandering. So here the baseline is here and there. Now if you just apply the high pass Butterworth filter, you can just see the baseline becomes, if you just consider the 0 point here, so it just uniform for all over the 5,000 samples. So here the baseline has been removed using the Butterworth filter. So here in this way the baseline wandering can be removed. So all these parts are the denoising part, and in the overall signal analysis part, we just include it in the pre-processing part. Okay, so these kinds of techniques is used in the pre-processing part of the signal in digital signal processing for the biomedical signal and especially for ECG signal. Now I already told you what is the significance of the ECG signal compression. So in healthcare system, in during the monitoring, as I already told you, if it is recorded using the 12 leads, then it will acquire the large data. And suppose that a battery driven portable devices is used during the monitoring, or any personal digital assistants, PDAs. So usually these devices are operated using the battery. So if you just record using the large duration, it will require large storage, large processing, and large processing time, as well as storage, as well as transmission bandwidth in case of the real-time ECG data transmission as well as acquisition. So in this case, the large data is a problem for the ECG signal acquisition. And in case of for early detection of heart diseases, ECG is recorded for long duration. Suppose I just already told you in Holter monitoring. Usually, when a patient is just in initial stage of the, means at a starting stage of the heart disease. Suppose that someone is suffered or feels like abnormal heart rhythm, he will go to the hospital, and the cardiologist is unable to detect the disease by just by just collecting the ECG signal for 5 seconds using the graph paper. But still patient is just telling that I'm just suffering some different, means abnormal condition. Then the cardiologist will suggest you just record your ECG for 2 to 3 days duration. Normally it is 12 to 72 hours. So this is called Holter monitoring. So in that case, long duration ECG signal is used for the analysis part. And you can just think that how much it will be difficult for cardiologists to interpret an ECG signal recorded for 12 hours, means 1 day to 3 days signal. So manually to do this, it is very much difficult. And due to that difficulties, different AI assisted tools has been developed to assist cardiologists, so that cardiologists, means if an alarm is raised regarding the abnormal ECG, then cardiologist can verify. After that, they can verify whether the patient is suffering with abnormal condition or not. So here, these are the different challenges. These are the different problems related to research in the modern era, and by just handling these problems, different research works can be completed in this area. Okay, so for research point of view also, it is a emerging field. How the research scholars or any project level, different kinds of works can be done in this area. So the long-term monitoring means halter monitoring as well as the long data of the ECG signal is a problem. So many students are working on the data management, data science. So for the data science point of view, the large data is a current problem in the different scenario. So here, in case of the biomedical area, it is also large data is also a problem, and here ECG is one example for that. In case of neurology for the brain, it is also a problem. Large data is also a problem. So on that point of view also, for the brain also, it can be worked, okay, based on the large data. So the long-term recorded ECG or signal related to brain, this is also called EEG, electroencephalogram, is creating different problems in in technical point of view during the transmission as well as storage. So here I am just focusing on the ECG. So I just tell you in terms of the ECG. So regarding the memory space for storage, it is a problem. Regarding transmission, it's also a problem. And regarding the analysis for cardiologist, it is also a problem. So if you just transmit a large ECG data, transmission cost will be increased. It also reduce the battery life of the personal digital assistants (PDAs), as that PDAs are the battery-driven portable devices. So it just reduce the battery life. So the solution is what? The solution is data compression. You just reduce the data so that it can just reduce the transmission bandwidth. If the data will be reduced, it will just increase the battery life of the device, because suppose that means if a person is in moving position and the device not working, it will create the problem during the monitoring. So the overall solution is what? ECG data compression. And the ECG data compression, as I already told, since this is the biological signal and it just contains vital information, so you have to just maintain a certain standard quality. So based on that, if we just considering the quality, the data compression can be categorized into two types: lossy and lossless. So the lossless compression techniques is very much preferable, because it does not means takes a vital information. It cannot during the compression, the signal does not affected. It does not the signal means the signal quality is intact. It will not suffer due to the compression. So the lossless techniques is a very much preferable, and the disadvantage of the lossless compression technique is it has a very poor compression ratio, but it just maintain the quality. So if a lossless compression is developed in such a way so that it offer good compression ratio, then it will be very much preferable to different biological signals, not only for ECG, in different for all different kinds of biological signals. So lossless compression technique is preferable, but here the challenge is poor compression ratio. And in case of lossy compression technique, you just get large compression ratio, but it just since it is lossy, the certain information will be lost during this technique, and that's why lossy compression technique is not implemented in any medical devices, because in medical signals, biological signals, the information is very much important. So if for 1%, 0.1%, 0.11, 0.001% patients, if a certain vital information is lost and if the doctor interprets wrongly, then it may be the life threatening for that patient. That's why lossy compression technique is not used in biological devices. And until it just maintain a certain quality standard, we cannot say this technique can be used. But for the research point of view, many lossy compression techniques has been developed, and based on the technique, it has been divided in three types: direct time domain, transform domain, and parameter extraction technique. So direct time domain methods are based on simply taking the signal in time domain and apply certain technique, and to just develop that technique in that form directly in the time domain. And this technique has not very good performance measures in terms of different performance techniques. So this technique has not been developed very much widely. In terms of the different performance measures, transform domain methods have been developed very much widely, and since it just offers promisable compression performance, it is widely used and widely developed. So just like the technique based on the discrete Fourier transform, discrete cosine transform, and discrete Fourier transform. So based on these transform methods, there are different thousands of techniques have been developed, lossy techniques. Okay, and apart from the 1D method, there are 2D methods has been also used, just like the 2D DCT, 2D DWT, singular value decomposition, principal component analysis, and independent component analysis based also technique have been developed to develop the transform based methods. Okay, so it's a research area. I cannot give you the complete information regarding this in the one slide. So because it has a very deep it includes a very deep background. Okay, now in the transform method, discrete wavelet transform is widely used. And in case of the ECG signal analysis, not only for ECG, in other biomedical signals also, DWT, discrete wavelet transform, is widely used. And it is widely used for denoising as well as compression as well as feature extraction, which is used in the classification. So firstly, discrete wavelet transform is developed using the continuous wavelet transform, which is formulated in the slide. So continuous wavelet transform of a signal X. So here signal X is the given signal, and here in this case for the ECG signal, you can just say that X is the ECG signal. And in the continuous wavelet transform analysis, it is based from the mother wavelet psi, and there are the two parameters tau and s. Tau is called translational parameter, s is called the scaling parameter, and this is formulated as 1 upon root over mod s and xt, and this is the translated and scaled version of the mother wavelet. And these techniques make it different from the short time Fourier transform. So this is the formula of the continuous wavelet transform, and from this formula, discrete wavelet transform have been developed by just assuming the translational parameter and scaling parameter by certain binary quantity, means 2 to the power best formulation it has been developed. And so this is the for the formulation point of view. But in implementation point of view on digital system, DWT is implemented using filter banks, and these filter banks consists of high pass filter and low pass filter. So for a 3-order filter, here in the slide I have included a 3-level filter bank for the decomposition of signal. So 3-level DWT decomposition of a signal action is shown here in the slide. So here in the slide, GN indicates the low pass filter, HN indicates the high pass filter, and the coefficients of the low pass filter is called the approximate coefficients, and the coefficients of the high pass filter are called the detailed coefficients. So here you can just see action is just decomposed in the two parts, low pass and high pass. After that, it is downsampled by the factor 2. The here HN is what? High pass. So here at this part it generates the level 1 coefficients. Again the low pass is decomposed in two parts. Again, it is downsampled by two factors. Again, at the second level, it is just decomposed into two parts and it just generates the level 3 parts. So these are the coefficients of the low pass filter bank. So this is the coefficients of the low frequency coefficients, and it is called the approximate coefficients. The high pass coefficients here, as it represented, it is called the detailed coefficients. So all the coefficients, usually the low frequency coefficients contain the vital information, because usually the high frequency coefficients is suffered with the high frequency noises. That's why we not rely on the high frequency coefficients, we rely on the low frequency coefficients. Okay, so this here, in terms of the signal, you can just see how the signal is decomposed using the filter bank. And here there's the three stage decomposition, three level decomposition. Okay, now regarding the frequency, here level 1, at the level 1 decomposition for the high pass and low pass, this is the means the division, means the complete signal is divided in the two parts. First is this is the low frequency, this is the high frequency. Again, at the second level, it is just divided in two parts. This is the high frequency, this is the low frequency. Again, at the level 3, it is divided in two parts. This is the high frequency and this is the low frequency. So here, this is the Fn. So this is the frequency of the signal. This is Fn by 2. This is Fn by 4. This is the Fn by 8. So here you can just say that these level 3 coefficients have the frequency coefficients, approximate coefficients, which are just associated with the frequency Fn upon 8. Okay, so this is the relation between the frequency and the coefficient. Okay, so Fn, all the coefficients at level 3, it just contains the frequency coefficients which just lie between 0 to Fn upon 8. Okay, and it's the vital information. Now about the mother wavelet, there are the different, as the wavelet transform has been very much widely developed, there are the different kinds of mother wavelet. And for the ECG point of view, usually by orthogonal or divergence mother wavelet is used, and it is just denoted by BIOR, means by orthogonal, or divergence, abbreviated as DB. So these two mother wavelet family is widely used for the ECG signal to decompose the ECG signal. Now the number of decomposition level is chosen using this formula, which is called the empirical formula, means practically developed formula. And here this is the down level log 2 Fs. Fs is sampling frequency of the given ECG signal minus 2.96. So by this formula, we can just understand that by how much level you can just decompose the ECG signal to extract its feature, as well as for compression, as well as for denoising. Okay. Now, for the ECG signal classification for disease detection, DWT is used to extract the features, and for the feature extraction, usually DV, divergence family, is used, mother wavelet family, and approximate coefficient is used, means the coefficients of the low frequency filter bank is used to extract the features, and number of decomposition level varies based on sampling frequency of the different database based on the formula. Okay. Now here I just incorporate the AI method, different artificial intelligence method for automated heart disease detection. Okay, so heart disease may be arrhythmia, MI, atrial fibrillation, and many more different kinds of disease. It may also be based on the heart rate variability analysis. And I think all of you are just aware of the artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, the background was started in 1950, and it has all of you just know the definition. I will not go in very much in deep, or I will not. I just don't want to just give it many more time. So all of you, I think, know what is the artificial intelligence, and the artificial intelligence techniques. Regarding the techniques, I can just as all of you know, and I also want to tell you, it may be divided into two parts: machine learning and deep learning technique. So these are the techniques of the artificial intelligence, and deep learning is the sub part of the machine learning. Okay. So machine learning is a AI technique developed in the 1960, and it just incorporates the different algorithms just like the support vector machine, artificial neural network, probabilistic neural network. Okay, so there are the different algorithms used for the machine learning techniques, and the different predictive algorithms can also be used to develop the machine learning method. Okay, so usually in the ECG case, we use in the machine learning algorithms support vector machine or artificial neural network or probabilistic neural network. But in the current scenario, as the deep learning techniques has been explored very much, so many deep learning methods have been developed to use that method to just detect the different heart diseases. Now here, this is the relationship between the AI, ML and DL has been interpreted. So AI is the overall part, machine learning is a sub part of AI, and deep learning is the sub part of the machine learning. So it has the very narrow means which just comes from the machine learning. Now, regarding the support vector machine, as a if a patient belongs from the computer science, so I think he's in sixth or seventh semester, he must know what is the support vector machine. But as a learner, you can just understand that SVM is a supervised machine learning algorithm. Supervised means leveling is already provided to the data, means which kind of data is it there. So that's why it is called the supervised machine learning algorithm, and usually it is the binary classification method. Means there are two classes, but based on the algorithm development, it can be, you can just implement it as a one against one to one or one against all method to just classify more than two classes. So support vector machine can also be used not only for two classes, many classes, by incorporating one against all or one to one method to classify different classes of the given data. Okay, and in the machine, in the support vector machine, an hyperlane is constructed, and hyperlane is interpreted between the two classes, and here whatever the data points is coming between this optimal hyperplane, that all these uh, points are called the support, and the difference between these 2 points is called the margin, and the maximized margin is used to develop the support vector machine. So here it is the linear hyperplane is there, but it's not essential that the hyperplane is linear. So it is just, there are the different kernel methods are used for the nonlinear case, and we can just based on the different kernels, we can just divide the SVM as a linear and non-linear. So types of SVM is based on the linear and non-linear kernel, and linear kernel is used for the linearly separable data. Suppose that the data as shown in the slide, it is linearly separable. But for the second case here, the data is non-linearly separable. In that case, the kernel will be also changed. Okay. So in the next class, certain formulation has been used to just define what is the support vector classification. So suppose that for a linear function fx is used to interpret a hyperplane, then it can be formulated by this formula: fx is equal to wtxb, and here fx must be greater than 0, and these are the labels 1 and -1. Okay, so yi are the different labels, and these are the vectors w and b are the vectors to represent the hyperplane. Now the linear SVM to classify the vector x, which is outside the training set, can be represented by this formula. This is the sign function where alpha are the constants that satisfy this criteria. Further optimization is used in this cost function to maximize the margin. So it has the good mathematical background and based on that mathematical background, it has been developed from linear to non-linear. And in the non-linear case, a kernel is used, different kernel apart from the linear it is used, and based on that non-linear kernel, there are the different names of the kernels. So the different names of the kernel, you can just say this is the polynomial kernel, sigmoid kernel, Gaussian radial basis function, RBF kernel. Okay, so usually in the case of Gaussian, RBF is used. So whatever the different techniques has been developed for the DC detection related to the ECG, in that case Gaussian RBF is used. And the Gaussian RBF, kernel of the Gaussian RBF can be defined as with this formula, exponential x minus x y divided by 2 sigma. So sigma is greater than 0. Okay, so this is the formulation of the kernel which is used in case of the ECG, and not for only for the ECG. It has been also a very wide range of application, because it just offers promising performance in case of the classification. Now here, I just want to interpret, as I have very less time. Uh, I just firstly I interpret this technique. This is also published in 2021 by me and developed by me, and it is this work is published in a very much reputed biomedical signal processing and control (LGP) journal, and this technique is based on the TQ-WT wavelet transform and support vector motion. So here in this case, we just use the TQ-WT features to extract the ECG features related with the arrhythmia. Okay, arrhythmia is basically defined as irregular rhythm of heart, collectively known as arrhythmia, and it may be of different kinds. And here in this case, the arrhythmia detection techniques, whatever the developed, I have developed also, and many research also developed in this area, that can be used in PDAs, personal digital assistants, as well as in different monitoring system for the Holter monitoring, or in ICU monitoring also it can be used. So here the technique, whatever the technique I have developed here, TQ-WT and SBM based arrhythmia detection technique, it's an efficient method, and it can just distinguishes 8 different types of arrhythmia bits, and these bits are normal as well as L-BBB, R-BBB, APB, PVC, FPNV, and FVNV arrhythmia types. So here it has the different names, not so it's the abbreviated form. It has a meaning: left bundled, branch blocked; right bundled, branch blocked. After that, atrial paced ventricle contraction, fusion of paced and normal beat, fusion of ventricle contraction and normal beat. So these are the irregular rhythm, not normal, means abnormal rhythm. That's why it is called arrhythmia. So in this case, these 8 different types of bits are classified, and here you can just see what is the different morphology. Okay, so it has a different morphology. This is the normal signal, this is the L-BBB, this is the R-BBB, this is the APB, this is the PVC, this is the paste, this is the FPNV, and this is the FVNV. Okay, now overall, the how I can just represent it as a block diagram, the overall technique. So firstly, the raw ECG signal has been acquired. After that, it is pre-processed to remove the different artifacts. After that, RPIC has been detected and a bit has been segmented from the ECG signal. After that, wavelet based features, in this case TQ-WT, tunable Q wavelet transform, has been used to extract the features. After that, the SBM model is trained, and after that, after training the SBM model, the testing has been performed. Okay, so this is the block diagram, and in the ECG signal acquisition, MIT BH arrhythmia database has been used, which is publicly available, and it is based on the Beth Israel Hospital and MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So this database has been developed with the collaboration of MIT and Beth Israel Hospital. Okay, with the collaboration of these two institutions, this database has been developed. It includes 48 ambulatory ECG records acquired from the 47 subjects. It has the 2 leads, sampling frequency 360 Hz, Resolution means each sample is represented by 11 bit, and it has the baseline of 1024, and the gain of the amplifier in this case during the acquisition is 20 dB. Okay, so this is the data details, what data has been used in this technique. In the pre-processing, high frequency and low frequency noises has been removed. For the different artifacts, just like the muscle contraction, movement, electromagnetic interference, and for high frequency noise removal, SD filter has been used. In the SD filter, 5 and order 5 and window dimension 21 has been used. And for the baseline warning removal, a high pass butterworth filter of order 3 and cutoff frequency 1 hertz has been used in this technique. The RPIC is detected using the standard Pan-Tompkin algorithm, and why we have used in this technique, because it offers 99.3% accuracy to detect the RPIC. Okay, so the Pan-Tompkin algorithm has been used to detect the different RPICs, and the Pan-Tompkin algorithm involves following steps: bandpass filtering, derivative operation, squaring, moving window integration, and adaptive thresholding. So by implementing a stepwise step, the algorithm, the different plots has been also included, and all the steps has its separate significance. Suppose that band pass filtering, so the band pass filtering is used to improve the SNR, and it also removes the different electromagnetic and baseline wandering noises. And the band pass filter range has been chosen here, 5 to 15 hertz, which maximizes the QRS complex energy. So it has the significance of the band pass filtering. Derivative operation has also significance. The derivative operation means differentiating. So for the differentiation, 5-point derivative has been used, and it provides the slope information of the QRS complex. After that, squaring operation has been used so that the signal can be improved. The squaring operation amplifies the output and makes all data points positive. So here it improves the signal. And the window integration, the MWI is used through 36-point moving window, and it acquires the QRS waveform information in addition to the slope of the R wave. So it informs of the QRS about the QRS waveform in addition with slope. After that, moving window, another advantage, you can just say the advantage of the moving window, the size of QRS complex is determined with the varying nature of the QRS waveform. After that, adaptive thresholding is also used to detect the RPIC, and here the RPIC detected, you can just see here, these are the RPICs of the ECA signal, and this is the pre-processed ECA signal. This is the signal after the bandpass filtering. This is the signal after 5-point derivative. This is the signal after squaring operation. So you can just see all the signals becomes positive. This is the signal after 36-point moving window integration. After employing the adaptive thresholding, these are the detected RPICs. Okay. After detection of the RPIC, beats are segmented, and for the beat segmentation, 10.25 second window has been used for the 10.25 second offset before the RPIC and 0.45 second offset after the RPIC. So complete 10.7 second is used for the overall 1-bit segmentation. And if you just say the 1 bit has the duration, so the duration has 0.7 second, and if you just use the 360 sample sampling frequency, it just includes the 252 samples. So in other words, you can just say 89 samples before the RPIC and 162 samples after the RPIC has been selected to segment an ECG bit. So here is 89 samples before the RPIC and 162 samples after the RPIC. So this gives you 1 bit. So the signal has been taken as a record number 100 from the MIT DI's dataset. After that, tunable Q wavelet transform has been applied to each bit to extract the different features. So tunable Q wavelet provides, basically it's the modified version of the wavelet transform, and it's used 3 different tunable parameters. So it gives you the refined features so that the technique can be perform well in comparison with the others. So here in tunable Q wavelet transform, J level decomposition of signal action has been used, which generates J plus 1 subband, and at each decomposition level, 2 channel analysis filter bank is used at 2 low pass subband. So this is the signal decomposition structure of the tunable Q wavelet transform, and here till now it is similar with the wavelet transform. But in case of the implementation, it includes the 3 parameters: Q factor, oversampling rate, and number of decomposition level that can be parameterized. That's why it is called the tunable Q wavelet transform. And it also includes the scaling parameter, which is different from the wavelet. In the case of, we just downsample by 2, but here the scaling parameters alpha and beta has been used. So this is the difference between the DWT and TQWT, and in this way it is just implemented by employing the LPS and beta, and the different parameters can be defined in terms of the Q, R, and J. So beta is the scaling factor, high pass scaling factor defined as 2 by Q plus 1. Low pass scaling factor is defined by this. So after TQWT decomposition, 6th decomposition level has been used, and 12 coefficients has been used as a feature. So for the training and testing, the different number of bits acquired from the different ECG records of 8 different classes has been abbreviated in the table. So you can just see here total 41,097 bits has been acquired, and for the training point 14,870 bits has been used, and for the testing 26,219 bits have been used. And after using the SVM model, and in the SVM model, 1 against all STC has been used, and this model is trained with the 878 ECG bits, and it is tested with 26,219 bits. Okay, so after the classification after the training and testing, the performance is evaluated using the confusion matrix and different performance parameters: accuracy, sensitivity, specificity. So in terms of these parameters, the overall accuracy, sensitivity, specificity obtained in this technique is 99.27, 96.22, and 99.58%. So it is very much good in comparison with the other, and this work has been published in 2021 in Biomedical Signal Processing Tool. So this is the overall conclusion of this slide. ECG signal is widely used to detect different diseases using AI method. In this technique, here the TQWT based method is used with the SVM, and using this technique, we can offer the promising classification result in terms of the sensitivity, specificity, and accuracy, which is 96.22%, 98.22%, and 99.27% respectively. So it's a very good technique in 2021. Now the deep learning methods has been widely developed, so deep learning techniques is also used to develop this area very much. Okay, so if I will just get the opportunity in further, I will just describe how deep learning methods can also be utilized to these techniques. Okay, so this is the overall technical details, and this is the references, and the references has been the research papers as well as the World Health Organization reports, and these research papers has been developed by me, developed and published by me, the work. So these are the complete work detail which is published by me and done by me also. Okay, so further, so this is the last slide, and further if you have any question, then you can ask. You're most welcome. Any query, any question?
Any question, please? Participants, you may ask them, sir.
So if you have any question,
Yeah, please.
okay.
Yes, please ask. Please. Anybody was asking some question?
Okay.
Please. Okay, no questions? So thank you, Chandra Kumar Jha, sir,
Okay,
for
thank
your
you.
talk on ECG signal-based automatic cardiac and arrhythmia detection technique. Your lecture meticulously covered the fundamentals of ECG measurements, elucidating the principles and technique essential for understanding how ECG signals are utilized in the detection and diagnosis of cardiac arrhythmias. You provided an in-depth exploration of the different filters used in ECG signals analysis, explaining their roles in enhancing signal quality and accuracy in detection arrhythmias. The detailed background of each filter type, including low pass, high pass, band pass, and notch filters, and their specific applications in removing various types of noise from ECG data, was particularly enlightening. The discussion was instrumental in illustrating how sophisticated signal processing techniques contribute the effectiveness of automated systems in healthcare. Your insights into the technological advancements in ECG analysis not only broadened our understanding but also highlighted the critical intersections between medical science and technology. The practical applications of this system that you should have significant applications for improving patients' outcome through more accurate and timely diagnostic. We greatly appreciate the depth of knowledge and clarity you brought to this complex subject, which has inspired us to delve deeper into the field of biomedical engineering. Your expertise has immensely enriched our learning experience, and we are eager to apply these insights in our future endeavors. Thank you once again, sir, for a truly valuable and inspiring session. Your contributions to advancing healthcare technology are deeply valued. Thank you so much, Chandan, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So, okay, our next lecture is going to be start by 2:30. Okay. Thank you everyone. You all may leave it.